And good afternoon, Star Citizens, and welcome back to the verse. We are here once more in the amazing Star Citizen. Still on 3.16, so I'm still sticking with, let me get this right, the Persistent Universe, PU. I keep hearing different phrases, I still haven't quite got it right in my head as to what they all mean. And then my green screen is flickering in a corner again. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. See? Percussive maintenance. That's what we do. Hasn't fixed it. In fact, it's made it worse. There we go. Looks like I've probably cleaned my room slightly and I've knocked one of my lights. There we go. That's fixed it. Live versus PTU. Okay, so there we go. Gives to the machine. Anyway, apologies for that. That's a very, very high-tech space environment that I have at my disposal here. Anyway, how are we all? It's good to be back. It's good to be back here on Friday. We made it to Friday. Friday's good. Yes. And it's been a sort of day off. We've been busy today because I've been prepping a car and doing other bits and pieces of charging around, trying to get stuff sorted in the house. Because as you may have heard, I've had a kitchen fitted, which of course causes all sorts of major calamities in the food preparation and general messiness of the house department. So it's almost, we've got to get it painted, but all the mucky work is in. But it's Good Friday, so and we discussed on my No Man's Sky stream yesterday as to why it's called Good Friday. And it turns out that good is an ancient word, or at least in this context, it's an ancient word for holy. So it's Holy Friday. So the day we celebrate somebody getting nailed to a cross for basically saying, let's be nice to each other. Hey. Humanity. But there we go. Right, so how are we doing? Let's go and say let's see what we normally do. Top Shot is here. First time chat there. Look at that. Top Shot is in at number one. Not first time chat. I mean first person on the chat. That's what I mean. Top Shot, good to see you there, sir. Seldamar is here. ZX81 is here. The shiny red flag. Yes, shiny red flag. There we go. I am going to get myself a shiny red flag one of these days. So I will do that. ETA 3 minutes is here. David AVT is here. Mad Monktov is here, Reservoir Dog is here, The Funny Asteroid is here. Now that's a good name, The Funny Asteroid, I like that. Have a Boo Boo is here, Commander Tragic Blue, Gaming for Sanity, Bogus Truths, The Shadow Wyvern, The Landrew is here as well, excellent. Commander Vex, Dr. Quest MD, Admiral Kusanagi. The PTU is a little bit rough. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Medicus is here. 07, hello. Abstract Play. PU is Persistent Universe. PTU is Public Test Universe. So, but they should have chosen some slightly different acronyms, I feel. But never mind. Kelly Baglar is here. Yes, How to Fix the Universe. Just smack it with a hammer. Why is that still? I think the problem is what's happening actually, because it's actually really warm here today. I don't know what's going on. The weather's suddenly gone like hot. It's over 22 degrees outside, and it's like it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon here in the UK, where I am down in the southeast. So I've actually got the window open. So if you hear you may hear some space birds in the background. Okay, they are genuine space birds that I've had specially imported for the stream. Blam Smith has subscribed at tier 1. Thank you very much for the subscription there. Good to see you. Thank you very much for that. Rogan James is here as well. Fantastic. And a first time chat from Traplift0323. Hello, good to see you as well. Right, okay, let's the eggs will be I know. All the chocolate and everything, it's just wrong. What's with this temperature stuff? So actually it's warm in here. I can feel myself sweating already. So I've got the window open to hopefully A, keep myself cool, and B, keep the PC at a reasonable temperature. It is already, because Star Citizen is fairly heavy on computers, it's already humming away in the corner. But so any space birds that you hear in the background, they are genuine birds that sit outside my house in the tree. And occasionally have been commented upon my streams before. But there we go. Right, into the game we go. So what am I doing? Well, I must admit, I'm at a sort of quite a reflective point in my journey in Star Citizen. I do feel I've got a handle on the very basic, and I stress the very basic dynamics of how this game actually runs and operates now. So, I've familiarised myself with walking around the inside of the ships. I've familiarised myself with the basic controls. There's an awful lot of stuff here I don't know what the heck it does. I like that it's there. I'm looking at the screen now and I'm thinking, okay, so I know the shieldy things. There's this EM, which I assume is electromagnetic up here in the top left corner. You can't see the mouse, I'm afraid. Electromagnetic and infrared, which I presume is my kind of detectability to hostile ships or anything else. There's an awful lot of stuff on these consoles. I don't know what it does, so I really ought to spend a bit of time felding, for understanding exactly what the ship is doing. So I've got my VTOL, my coupled, my ESP, and my gear. So I kind of get that. I've got the velocity indicator, the thrust indicator, the pitch indicator, the G-force indicator. I've got my status of my weaponry. I've got my fuel levels, decoys, and noise, and all that sort of stuff. That all makes sense. So I've kind of got the hang of all that sort of things. Now the rest of it, however, up. So I've got the target. That all makes sense. Okay, so left to right. So Admiral Kusanagi told me from left to right: heat signature, cross-sectional signature, and electromagnetic signature. Okay, so if I just zoom in on this, I just realised I've just turned the sound on. It's a bit loud in my ears. So I've got. Okay, so this allows me to see my ship from different orientations, doesn't it, in terms of the shields? So. And is that representation accurate in the sense that I effectively do have 4 shields? Basically 4 aft, port and starboard. Is that right? And so is my ship therefore technically vulnerable from the top and the bottom, i.e. it's not shielded? Or do those shields sort of wrap around from, to cover, because otherwise it looks to me like I've got a vulnerable spot. If you attack me from directly above and directly below, I'm actually unshielded. So they do wrap. Okay, so it does wrap around. Okay, so it's kind of like segments of an orange rather than actually just a flat. It kind of looks like a flat plane here, doesn't it? But that's not how it's actually in. It's actually defending me a bit better than that, which is good. Okay, that's kind of reassuring. Okay, so EM. So this number here that it's showing me is changing slowly, which I presume is my. Okay, so I can overclock and put power to a specific shield side. So presumably for things like that, I kind of need co-pilots, I imagine, in order to manage my ship. So that again is another really nice sort of multi-crew kind of thing, I think, where there's something for the multi-crew passenger person to do. Obviously the turrets we've talked about. But so self status is that one, right? Okay, you emit electromagnetic energy and infrared energy which can be detected by the ships. Oh, hang on, the police have turned up. It's the Rozzers again. Okay, right, I'm not moving. Right, stationary standard progress. Because of you guys, I got into trouble last week. I had to spend most of the stream in prison. Thank you very much, Mr. Officer Sir. While I fiddle around with the controls. Okay, so that's what that's showing me. So you emit electromagnetic energy and infrared. So presumably, my ship is currently idle. It's sort of sitting in space. So literally, I'm here outside the space station doing nothing at all. And that is my infrared signature. So presumably, if I throttle up and start moving, my infrared signature is going to rise because I'm emitting some heat. Does that make sense? It's going down. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so I don't quite understand what those are showing me. If they are so. But anyway, I kind of get the idea. So is there a way for me to limit my electromagnetic and infrared emissions? Do I have stealth? Okay, so stealth modes, right. At least loitering isn't a crime punishable by death. No, I was loitering a little bit there. It seems to be okay. Stealth components are specialised in low EM and IM sequences to evade detection. Okay, so is there stuff I can do with the ship as it is, i.e. now? You can just turn stuff off. Okay, so if you need to... So if for example, I switch my shields off, which I think is O. There we go. Oh, look at that. Okay, so there's actually a graph there. So my EM emissions drop significantly with my shields off, which kind of makes sense, I suppose. My infrared isn't dropping because of stuff. Okay, so you can set to stealth now, and so I don't really like flying with my shields down. Okay, so that's quite cool. Okay, so the moment I put my shields back up or start charging them, I'm generating electromagnetic noise which can be detected, which is good. I like that. Okay. Imagine that all components are already running at full regardless of use, therefore EM and IR stay the same while idling and moving. Okay, so I figured the ship's engines would make more noise when you're moving along. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. Alright, so what's the next panel here showing me? So this is a system menu. So this is guns on and off and missiles. So I've got 28 missiles aboard, which makes sense. I've got 4 guns, which makes sense. So what are the 2 tabs? So I could switch off the guns, presumably. Yeah, okay. And I can switch them back on. What about this set? That seems to be non-functional. So is that a set of guns? Is that the turrets, or is that something else? So on the bottom left screen, you can't set to or you can kill. Oh, okay. You can or you can't. Oh, there's a stealth button. You're quite right. Okay. So stealth mode there. Okay. So actually, I haven't noticed this panel here. So display HUD, push to talk, intercom, auto land, hydraulics, deploy. Oh, there's actually a. Okay, so touch sensitive control. So there's a stealth thing there. So if I hit that, presumably it does something. Does it switch off certain things? I mean, I press it. It's going to be the thing. Let's press stealth mode. Okay, so it. Okay, so 0 and 1 are the primary and secondary fire group. Right. Okay, so I've just pressed stealth mode. I'm not sure it's actually doing anything. Okay, so that's a stealth threshold. So what's... Okay, so this is... Oh, you can interact with all sorts of stuff. What does that mean, though? Oh, okay. Okay, so if I drop it too low, it basically is warning me something. Okay, so there's an awful lot of... there's an awful lot of stuff behind these menus that I don't know anything about at the moment, which is very cool. Okay, so this applies to me. This is the usage of the ship. Okay, so the stealth button just limits your max power usage. Okay, so it looks like enabling stealth sets a power usage limited to that stealth display. Ah, okay. So is that what this is? Okay, so basically it's saying that in order to maintain stealth, I need to keep it under this threshold. And this slider here, I don't know what this does. I'm not quite sure what that is doing, but it's sort of limiting things. Then I've got the items, which I do sort of understand. Okay, so so overclock I don't get yet, but let's go through it. So these are all the different systems I have aboard the ship. So some of these I reckon. So I've got missile racks, coolers, repeaters as the guns, daybreak. I'm not sure what these are, and that's presumably the health for all the systems. It's all showing 100%, which since my ship is brand new, it would be okay. Overclock. So presumably I can. What I'm asking for here is the ability to increase the power output of the component by a certain amount. So I can overclock the device, which probably is a bad thing to do for an extended period of time, I'm guessing. Overclock basically overpowers things. Presumably there's more wear and tear on the device if you do that, which is quite cool. So if you need more oomph from your ship, that does kind of make sense. Oh, look at the cockpit. I haven't even noticed that. There's this stuff, what it does. Engine on, engine off. Okay, so there's more controls here. Door open, exterior. Oh, there's actually physical switches for some stuff. That's very cool. Okay. Enable proximity. I don't even know what some of this stuff. There's so much little extra bits and pieces in here that I haven't really noticed. Okay, so that's a daybreak. I think is a power plant. Okay, so that's good. A10 Sunny Smith, you can get the game running so well. My 4-core CPU cries trying to run this game, even though I have an RTX 2060. So I don't know. I mean, you guys told me how to configure my PC. Now my PC is not state of the art, and this is a GTX 1070, and I'm streaming at the same time. So I don't really know. I mean, it's always run very happily for me, Star Citizen. So that's good. Okay, so what else have we got on here? So I can look at the guns. Okay, so Fire Group 0 is basically my 4 cannons, which makes sense. And then I've got the missiles as well. So I've got 28 infrared Marksman 1 missiles ready to rock and roll. Okay, so that's that. Okay. Then I've got the comms menu, which I do understand. That allows me to talk to people. So what is this one showing me? So this is suppress overall infrared. I'm guessing this is more to do with my emissions. So I've got the option to suppress the weapons, suppress shields, suppress electricity, suppress something else. I don't know what those are, but it's more stealth functionality, isn't it? I use an old i7-3777. Mine is an 8700, I think. Okay, so that's what that is. Okay. And then up here, there's the targeting, which I don't have a target. I have seen that work, so that makes sense. This is... So actually, before we do that, over here, under system, there we go. So this allows me to move power between weapons, shields, and systems, I'm guessing. Yeah, okay, so that's quite nice, isn't it? So you can instinctively just bias your ship towards different settings. That makes sense. Oh, engines is the bottom icon. So it's what? Engines, shields, and weapons, which is kind of the things that you're going to be mostly concerned about. Okay. Okay, so what's this screen over here showing me? So this one is that shields again? Front, right, left, rear. That kind of implies shields. The last one is drives. Okay, is that over there? Down at the bottom. Okay, so this is the shielding display. So what's it telling me here? Is that can I bias the shields in some fashion? So I've got items. Okay, so that is shields, right? Okay, so there's nothing here for me to actually connect with. Oh, there's some more controls for the cargo bay. That one's working. Okay, so I'm beginning to understand a bit more about what the various instruments they're showing me, which is a good thing. Okay, that makes more sense. All right, that's quite good. So I can control, and there's actually more controls. Oh, now I've gone and switched that. Why is the mouse now decided to... now I've activated the missiles. I can't zoom... Oh, I can zoom in. I can't move the mouse though. Why is the mouse no longer moving? Okay, so it's power distribution. It's very similar. Okay, so major torque imbalance? Why has that come up? It's the F key. I just tap it once, or no? I can't move the mouse anymore. It's sort of. I can't look at. Oh, there it's looking around there. Oh, there we go. It's working now. Okay, so I wanted to just have a quick look at this console here. So is there stuff I can... It's sort of working, but it's being a bit finicky. Oh well. Hit the Z key. That always helps. I don't know, it's sort of working. Oh, regain control of the ship. Anyway, okay, well that's good. Freelook tends to mess that up now and then. Okay, so that's okay. So that's good. I sort of understand what the screens are showing me, which I think is a useful thing to do. Now, what I do want to do is I want to continue exploring and poking around. Now, last week we got into all sorts of trouble. by doing dodgy stuff. So I think we need to yeah, I'm not. I don't want to do too much dodgy stuff. So I do want to pick up because I don't think I've got the Ursa in the ship. So is Aberdeen a good place to get to the Ursa from? So that I can pick up. I just want to drive that into the base of the ship, and so we can use that to go exploring. Was it Magda or Aberdeen? There were various bases on some of those. I think I can't remember which one it was. Somebody in the chat will know. I can go to. I'm pretty sure it was Aberdeen, and there were places on the surface. Any mining for Shudi. Okay, that's too hot. It's Venus. So is Aberdeen hot? As Dr. Quest MD, I'll join your party invite. That's cool. Apart from the fact left bracket isn't working either. Why is that? Well, we will be looking for a scenic mobile. What I want to do is I want to get the also, but I can't for some reason. Dr. Quest MD that. Normally check out Ariel. Okay, let's go to Ariel then. I don't think I've been there. Let's do that. Okay. So you might want to try sending that again, Dr. Quest MD, because it's not sure the keys are working entirely 100%. Okay, so I'm going to go to Ariel. Let's pick up the Ursa. Okay, I need to go to Ariel. Oh, I've got used to flying my No Man's Sky spaceship, which is a little bit less massive than this one. Okay, they might not be working in game. Right, okay, so I'll bear that in mind. Right, engage. Quantum drive engaged. I like the way we get a vector on the HUD there. That is quite nice. Okay, so there's Ariel directly in front of me. Engage. I have to say I'm looking forward to the 3.17 because I do want to go and land my ship by a river. That's something I am looking forward to. Okay, so here we go. So I'm looking for a mining base. This planet looks... Okay, so what we've got OM1, that's the orbital markers. This planet does not look very hospitable at all. So any of these HDMS, what does HDMS mean, by the way? Let me go down to one of those. Engage the quantum drive. Looks like Aberdeen. Don't forget your helmet. No, I have got my helmet. I remembered that one. I checked that before I started the stream. Yes, don't go out with your space helmet. That is a very, very, very handy tip. Okay, so this planet looks like Hurston Dynamic Mining Station. Okay, so that's what that means. Right, so party invite received. There we go. Let's see if that will. I think that accepted. Yeah. Okay, so let's bank the ship over. Okay, so this is a very atmospheric moon, isn't it? Okay, so have I got some sort of science? What I would call science scanners, i.e., something that tells me the atmospheric composition of the planet if I scan it, those kind of things, or is that in my Mobiglass? So if I was an explorer, basically coming across this moon for the first time, how would I determine stuff about the moon? Is that functionality that's in the game? The first iteration of River is kind of meh. Okay, well I haven't seen it yet, so I do want to try it. Okay, so visibility here is very bad. I can just about make out the ground. So yeah, so I'm kind of interested in the exploration side of things at the moment, just to kind of think. So, does my ship have something like that? So Mobiglass is the only thing. Okay, so the Mobiglass tells me what? So this is telling me obviously the current composition is the air inside the ship, clearly. So that's as you'd expect, nitrogen, 78% CO2, da 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 da. Okay, this kind of looks like the surface of, I don't know why my ship is banking slightly. Is that me? There we go. I think I was kind of leaning to one side. I don't think the scanning stations do anything at the moment. Right, okay, so that's something that's kind of coming. And we've got that tab ping, so what does that do? That does, okay, so there's a graphical effect there. What does it actually do for me? So I can sort of see the terrain, and it's picked up some objects on the surface. Is that what the scanner actually does? And I don't know how many times I can ping that scanner, but at least it works now. At least we figured that out. Okay, so the scanner is detecting something. Okay, so I've got I don't know what that incoming signal there is, but I've just noticed that. Let's just reject that. That's been sitting there for a while. Where is the base? Oh, there it is. I can just see it. Okay, so that's tab. It doesn't really help me much. It's a sonar ping. Okay, so it picks up asteroids and things like that. Okay, so there I can see the base. So I'm going to land rough, pick up the Ursa. Okay, so let's put the VTOL on, which is V. No, M. No. I've forgotten, what's the VTOL? So it's K, isn't it? N for gear. There we go. Oh, coming in a bit too hot. Ah, hang on, I've got some sort of autopilot engaged there. Okay. Got to be a bit careful. The problem with playing too many space games, right, is that you can't remember all the keybinds. Okay, now hang on, I've got my thrust vector now is jammed as well. What did I press? G? G was for gimbals. There we go. Now I can reset it. There's so many little extra settings you've got to be a little bit wary of. Okay, so I think that's looking reasonably flat. I think we're down. There we go. Okay, engine's off. Good. Right. This looks like this looks very Venusian. Okay. Yeah. No. Sorry. A child has been. That is the only problem in the streaming where I stream is that there are some neighbours over there. They're okay, but their kids do occasionally. And the moment the sun comes out, is the kids basically charge around the garden, and they probably haven't. To be fair, or the kids, they probably haven't been out for like months, so they're going a bit loopy being out in the sun. So apologies for that. If you can hear that in the background, that will be why. I'm not murdering kids in my yard. Right, okay. And they're out of school today, of course, because in the UK it's what we call a bank holiday, which is basically a holiday. They call them bank holidays because they are... oh, it's sandy. The banks are closed. There's something about to do. Anyway, but there we go. So yeah, so if it gets too bad, I'll go and close the window, because kids, eh? Right, so you close that. No, so okay, so if I was doing some scientific-y kind of stuff, so what I do is I hit my Mobi-glass now, and it's telling me, okay, so the atmosphere is 0.78, so it's actually relatively thick for a moon. It's totally nitrogen, so obviously I can't breathe it. A little bit of methane, 1.8%, and a tiny bit of hydrogen, which is interesting. We want hydrogen on the moon. And it's very, very cold, minus 150. No, it's really, really hot. It's plus 154 centigrade, so that's insanely hot. Okay, so it's and now you can probably hear a Spitfire going here. It's all happening here today. Okay, so my survival estimate is only 12 minutes with this suit. I've got to be a bit careful, so let me get a move on. It's very warm, isn't it? Now I need to find the I haven't parked all that close. I need to find the right unit here to pick up the Ursa, don't I? So I'm not quite sure which one it is. I'm running my lady out of breath. She's getting a bit tired. Now, which one is it? Plenty of time to get killed by other means. So she's definitely getting puff. Okay, so I need to get some more suits. That's the thing I need to think about. Now, is it this building? Hurston Dynamics. That says mining control. And that one says storage. So is that the right one? Or is it somewhere else? The building with a blue P on the outside, near small pads on the outside. So I can't... Ah, there we are, over there. Okay, so... I need to go over that way. Some more of you coming down with your ships. This is quite good. I don't know what that kid is. You can stop it, actually, you just need to keep drinking. I need to get a heat suit. Okay, so Platinum Bay here is basically the place where I get my stuff from. Yeah, she's definitely struggling in the heat, isn't she? There we go. Sorry, my dear, for making you run all over the place. There's my ship over there. Right, okay, so up here. I like the way she stays puffed for a little bit as well, which is quite good. Okay, so I'm going to need a heat suit. There we go, so cycling. Okay, and there, she can calm down. Why isn't the inner door opening? Oh, it is. There we go. Right, here we go. Okay. Wait. Okay, so she's calmed down. That's good, actually. It's a good effect. A very crispy drew. Right, so what I want is my Ursa. There. Because I think I blew it up. Oh, I crashed it. Okay, I don't need to worry about it. Okay, 15 seconds. I think we can be patient enough to wait. Okay, so that's good. So the heat drains your hydration. As long as your internal heat is high, you'll start draining hydration and get heat stroke. Okay, so things like that bear to mind. It's kind of survival. It's not like heavy duty survival mode, isn't it? It's something you have to consider, which I think is good. I kind of like that you've got to consider it. It's not going to get in your way, you know, if you're doing stuff. You just kind of like, okay, if we're doing an extended operation on this moon, for example, we're going to need special suits. We can't just hang around in our ordinary flight suits, which is obviously the one I'm wearing. I like the sand, and you can actually kind of hear the sand as well, can't you? It does sound like I'm walking on sand, which is nice. Okay, so this is the Ursa. I really like this little ship. I mean, it's not a ship, obviously, a vehicle, but I'd like to know what these tyres are made of that can survive. I mean, I'd like to know what all the materials are made of. That's one thing with sci-fi. Okay, so I'm putting my, I've got my hat on, obviously. Putting my science fiction author hat on for a moment is that, again, depending on the science fiction you're writing, or trying to put together for a show or game, whatever it happens to be, a temperature of 154 degrees centigrade is obviously pretty damn hot, okay? And most of the materials that we work with in our daily lives, okay, don't work too well at 150 degrees centigrade. What are the tyres on this thing made of that they can quite happily survive 151 degrees centigrade? I mean, you can answer all of these questions by it's magic future space stuff, okay? But for those of us who like a little bit more thinking behind our sort of space lore, questions like that are interesting to sort of just debate. What are the tyres made of? Are they some amazing new composite? How do they work? How do they maintain grip? Do they just not melt off the car? How do they work in cold temperatures? All those kind of things. Again, you can just go, okay, it's magic space tech and it's the future. Why are you asking such a stupid question? But if you want a plausible, sort of semi-realistic. I mean, I don't mind if it's, I personally, I don't mind if it's like ultra nanite, instantly renewed, temperature compensated, blah 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 blah. Yeah, as long as there's a little bit of thought gone into, okay, well, how would that work? Can you really make a spacesuit or a vehicle that works in these kind of extreme temperatures? So if you look at these tyres, they appear to be tyres, right? So and they're currently being exposed to 153 degrees temperature, right? So do they work? Okay. What temperature does rubber melt? I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about these sort of things to answer the question. Silicone rubber, unlike the majority of other rubbers, can withstand temperatures up above 200 degrees C and as low as -6. Maybe that's enough. So that's good. If that's the case, let's roll with that. I just like I like things like that to be given a bit of consideration. So I like the fact here that it's telling me my survival estimate is only 12 minutes. That's the best my suit can do for me in these conditions. It appears, I think I'm right in saying, that when I close the door, okay, so the environment inside the rover here, the Ursa, is protected from the outside. I've basically got aircon, very, very good aircon. And you don't want too much stuff, okay, because it might get in the way of gameplay, right? But I like the fact that I've got to have a bit of a little think there about maybe very, very bad driving. Apologies for that. Let's get that on board. Very. I need to have a think about, okay, if I want to do extended operations on this planet, I can't just buzz around in my normal suit. I have to, I have to have a think about it. All right, there we go. I've joined the party, hopefully. Okay, so let's jump out of there. I've got my Ursa aboard. And what I like about Star Citizen in particular, as an author, as a sort of sci-fi person, is that it's clear that some thought has been given to this sort of stuff. A lot of the details, that the ship has. There isn't, another thing here, there isn't magic cargo space that can just accommodate stuff. Your cargo bay is physically limited by the amount of physical space it has, which is a really nice thing, because it gives you a sense of, okay, I can't cram any more stuff in there, because the cargo bay is a certain size. If I want more cargo space, I need a bigger ship, which is a good thing. Right, so let's call the lift. I made the mistake of standing underneath this. I think this is a slight health and safety design flaw. That this is that the first time I did that, I stood underneath that and pulled the lever and basically pretty much crushed myself because I didn't know it was going to come down. So I think there's a couple of design flaws in the ship which I've noticed now. But okay, so there we go. I've just walked back in. That sealed itself up. I can look up the sides. Everything, of course, now is totally peachy because I'm inside the ship, which is good. Okay, so I've now got the Ursa. So back to the bridge. Having a lore-based consideration for the background to the gameplay is a very, very powerful thing. I mean, and for some players, you're not going to notice it. It's just going to be, okay, well, there's just some background fluff about how stuff works. Okay, whatever. I want to go and shoot stuff. I want to carry stuff. I want to make some money. But Star Citizen in particular, I think, is crucial for this because it's trying to be more than just... It's more than a space game, isn't it? It's an environment. It's a place to live. It's a place to do stuff. You have to have a reason why things are the way they are, and the fact that there's been a lot of thought gone into the background of that is, to me, really reassuring. It makes it feel like there's consistency and integrity in the game universe, that there's not suddenly going to be something weird that basically contradicts the law, or suddenly turn up and go, well, how the hell does that work? It's not, that's not going to happen, which I like, because it's, there may be unexpected, exciting, strange things and new things that come along, but they're going to be in the context of the universe. So when something really weird and unusual does show up, it's going to be unusual and difficult and weird and interesting, which it adds more to the universe. Really important. It feels small, and it feels like it might be an overhead for a development team. Okay, to spend their time doing that, or have a part of the development, because you don't need to be a coder to do that kind of stuff. But it's essential. It adds so much more to the universe in which you're playing if you can sort of trust the integrity of the universe that you're in. Very, very important. Okay, so we now have that. And Ursa barely fits, says Commander X. Okay, so right, so let's get off this horrible moon. Let's go and explore some interesting stuff. I'm quite interested just to literally have a look about and sort of see the variety. So this is almost like a Venus. Someone has me radar locked. Yeah. So okay. Is that an aggressive thing? Because in sort of airplane to airplane combat, having a radar lock on somebody could be construed as being quite aggressive. Okay, so that someone's sneaking up from behind. I can see some other ships. I like the way that they're following us here. This is quite good. Okay, so if I go to full throttle, can they keep up? Is the question. Probably, yeah, because my ship presumably isn't all that fast. A missile lock's low, slightly different. Okay, so look at that. That just looks stunning. A missile lock is hostile action. So what's the difference between a missile lock and RDR lock? Oh, I've got missile warning. So is missile warning that? Okay, a lot of people use the radar to lock onto identified, but which makes sense. Okay. So if I was to see if somebody was locking a missile onto me, what would be the HUD warning? Okay, so RDR lock. That's basically somebody targeting me for purposes of navigation, one would hope. Okay, so some of the ships are clearly faster than mine, which is fair, I suppose. Well, that sounded good as well. Okay, we're above the atmosphere now. Okay, that's cool. Right, so let's have a look at the map. Let's go somewhere we haven't been. Now the Lagrange points here, these are kind of asteroid areas, I'm guessing, which contain a space station. So presumably there's nothing too unusual in those sort of places. I like the fact that the Lagrange points exist because they are the sort of thing that probably do exist in real life. There certainly are. Lagrange points are very much a real thing in astrophysics. Whether there's massive clusters of asteroids at those locations is not. There will be some. Whether it's kind of those lovely gaseous clouds that we're seeing, that might be a bit science fiction, but it kind of works. I like that. Okay, so let's zoom in. So we've been around some of these moons. So that's where we are now. Magda, Aberdeen, and Ita. Okay, so we're very close to the sun here. I'd like to have a slightly more hospitable moon. So maybe if we go out to the next planet out. So Microtech is very cold. I remember that. Crusader was quite a pleasant environment from what I recall. I can't get it to go over there now. I am looking forward to a slightly better start map, I have to say. Right, there we go. So what have we got moon-wise in Crusader? We've got Daymar, Kellin and Yella. So neither of those ring any bells to me. So I'm quite keen to just go and have a look at the moons and see what's kind of good. Let's look around. Yeah, there are some asteroids at some of the planetary Lagrange points, particularly Jupiter, because Jupiter's got the biggest gravity field. So yeah, it's a genuinely real thing, which is quite cool. They do all have asteroids and nebula gas clouds here in Star System. Okay, so that's quite interesting. Let's go to Kellin. Okay, so this moon features over 100 currently dormant volcanoes. Well, that sounds quite cool. Are they things that we can visit? Question mark. Let's go find out. I'm going to investigate. Okay, so Quantum Drive. There's my targeting vector. Looks like it's below the horizon. So do I have to plot a course? It says route not set. I thought I had set a route. I wanted to go to Kellin. This is very fiddly. Sometimes it works, Sometimes it doesn't. Then we came to Crusader first. Maybe that. Oh, that now it has figured it out. Okay, going to Crusader first. So, okay, now we're pointing in the wrong direction. Oh, look, we've got a nice crescent. Okay, top shot's already. Is that? Oh, there's Crusader. Okay, so let's lock onto there. Engage. Oh, right, we're on our way. I'm leaving the planets behind us. So as I understand it, the size of the systems in Star Citizen is reduced. Is it 1/5 or half or something of kind of generally the size of space? So if it's is it 5 AU in reality? It would be 1 AU inside the game, and the planets aren't full size. They're shrunk to a certain thing. Is it 1/3? Okay. I remember reading something about that. So, I mean, it's kind of, it's a bit of a moot point, really, isn't it? Because there we are. We're travelling across the map at the moment. So the scale thing is it 1/6, so 1/18 for the planets, 1/3. It's something. There's some maths. If I'm not mistaken, planets and moons are 1/6, and distances between major planetary bodies is 1/10. Okay, 1/6 for planets. Okay, so now I presume that's a reason done for ease of coding or ease of graphical design or whatever it happens to be, and you know and that's a balance presumably with computational power and distances and time and scaling is different for different things. So I can imagine in a space game that scaling is something that's quite difficult to wrestle with, and you're still learning as to what comes across best. They tested 1.1 scale, but it was too big for gameplay and traversal. Okay, so that sort of stuff's been investigated. So you're trying to find a happy medium, I suppose, between gameplay and server load and all the other bits and pieces that you need to kind of balance, which does make sense. And visually, I don't really think it kind of matters, does it? Because I must admit, I don't come across any of the planets in Star Citizen and go, oh, that looks too small, or that doesn't look the right size. In fact, the distances between the astronomical bodies. I mean, you're travelling in a make-believe spaceship drive, aren't you? So. It's like you can make that go as fast as you need it to, and Crusader here is bigger than the Earth. Now, I suppose the question is, are the distances on the HUD less than, i.e. 1/6 of what they would be in real life, or are the distances on the HUD adapted so that they show realistic numbers, but the scale is off? Do you see what I mean? Is that how that works? Or are things genuinely smaller based on what the HUD says? Okay, let's go to Kellen there. There we go, we're now there. Okay, so it's going to take us bar OM6. Okay, I understand that makes sense. So to have them real size, okay, so the distances are correct, the scale is off. Okay, so it's showing me what I would expect to see if I was in a real imaginary spaceship, as it were. Real imaginary spaceship? I'm not sure that's quite what I mean. If I was really up here, I would expect to see the distances that the HUD is showing me. Whereas it's not actually that big in terms of the scaling. I think is what you're saying. Because that's a real challenge for these sort of things. So there's Kellen rather. There's Kellen there. Okay, so off we go to Kellen. To have real size would be a waste of resources because it would be large amounts of nothing anyway. So yeah, so I can understand. You only need to make them as big as they need to be to give you the gameplay that you want. Realism is something that I've admired in other games and games that shall not be named. anymore, because I get into trouble if I'm even allowed to. I mustn't even speak the name, because that's illegal. Because I know internet people, but you know what I mean. I like realism. I like, for example, I really like Space Engine, because it allows you to tool around the real galaxy and see stuff that's actually out there. And the space games that shall not be mentioned did that very well. The fact that there's a real galaxy out there you can go and kind of tootle around it. But it's also a bit of a millstone around the developer's neck, maintaining a one-to-one scale for everything. It's too much. You don't need that much detail, because you're just not going to see it. And there we are. Okay, so this moon here is, you're telling me it's 1/6 size. Okay, it's space. I've got no frame of reference. I mean, how do I know that's 1/6 size? It looks fine. So from a gameplay immersive perspective, I don't think I'm losing anything here by that moon being 1/6 size. It looks like a perfectly reasonable moon. I don't have an issue with that being 1/6 size at all. Takeoff and landing, you can tell its size, but it's a very large play space. So so that's it's a thing. I get that you need to make some compromises, and that seems to me to be a very sensible compromise. So this moon looks like it's got a very, very, very thin atmosphere. So I was trying to use a little bit of geology here. Oops, I'm just sorry, knocked the mouse there. To look for a volcano that is sort of mentioned in the lore there. There are some small kind of outcroppings. It's not this, my sort of I'm by no means qualified in astrophysics or anything else, but what this terrain here is telling me, that actually there are some craters down there, but there aren't very many. So it's kind of implying that this is a relatively young surface, geologically speaking, so it has been refactored, if you like, by geo events. There's a lovely, look at that up there. There's a dark area almost on the limb of the moon there. So what I'm quite interested in seeing is how well does the geology of space observation here, how does it translate at ground level? Well, MGL 1206, it's really old with no geological activity. Well, if it was really old, you'd expect to see more craters and bigger craters. So if it was geologically inactive from a long, long time ago, I would expect to see a whole bunch of large impact craters on here. There are hardly any large impact craters visible from orbit here. So I don't know. Is it ice? I don't know. See, this is what I'd quite like to be able to do at this stage. Is I would like to engage some sort of scanner on the ship, Star Trek style, which would tell me a little bit about the surface of the planet. Now, according to the guide here, all it's telling me is it's named after the youngest of 3 siblings. This moon features over 100 currently dormant volcanoes that are said to represent, is it Kellen or Selin? Kellen's simmering anger. Okay, so I don't know. Is it an ice moon? I'm not sure. So I, at this point, I want to get the tricorders out. Yeah, exactly. That's what I want to do. So let's get down to the surface. What I'm going to do, I'm going to point the reticle at it. There's this nice black thing over there, which looks like a little valley. So I'm quite interested to see how that stacks up as we approach the ground, if that makes sense. A cryovolcano would explain why it appears lacking geography. So yes, so it could be an icy surface which is, it's being changed by cryovolcanism. That's exactly right. So again, at this point, I'd like to have some sensory data. So what's the temperature of the surface? What can we see? Atmospherically, is there an atmosphere? We should be able to pick some of this stuff up from orbit, which would be really, really cool. Looks at us examining a moon in game as if it was in real life. Well, you see, this is to me what exploration gameplay is about. Okay, so if you come across a moon like this, now I know that Star Citizen isn't so much focused on exploration in the sense of other space games show that we mentioned. But the surface down there looks really interesting to me as an astronomer, because it reminds me of the surface of Pluto a little bit, and you kind of look at that thinking, well, what processes have done that? And then I don't know whether Star System delves this deeply into the constructs of its moons and things, but and its planetary. But an awful lot of thought has been given to the environments, and so I'm kind of looking at this thinking, well, is there stuff down here? Because I can see there, for example. Let me just point at it. There is an impact crater. Okay, it's right in the centre of the reticle now. Okay, but that's a really small impact crater. Okay, a really small impact crater. What is surprisingly missing to me with my astronomical hat on here is anything like craters like on Earth, like Copernicus or Tycho. Big craters that are like 200, 300 kilometers across. Stuff like that is conspicuous by its absence on this moon, and that may be by design or not. The surface here, these moons look, geologically like young, i.e. they're still going to be billions of years old, but the surface only looks like it's probably a few million years old, which implies to me that there's been cryovolcanism, or there's been asteroids, or there's been some sort of event that's resurfaced the surface, question mark, all those sort of things. Those are sort of things that the game could provide you tools to go and investigate things with. So I'd be quite interested in it with my exploration hat on. Okay, so I'm seeing up here there's two bits of terrain. There's some dark terrain and there's some light terrain. So I'd like to be able to take a sample of the dark terrain and compare it with the sample of the white terrain, and see, is there some different chemicals and stuff, all that sort of stuff. So this surface is calling for me to explore it because it's got some weird stuff in it, and that's interesting to me with my sort of sciencey hat on. Exploration, Myon Toxin says, will be developed later. So at the moment it's mostly visual inspection. Interesting enough, look, as I get closer I can see some very strange artifacts down there on the floor. They look like impact craters, but they look like they've sort of melted into the surface. So that's interesting. The black material is good. Now here's another thing that's really good about this so far, and I'm going to be interested to see how this holds together as we go down, is that a feature I could see from orbit, i.e. this black material, is persisting as I get closer to the surface. That's another really important thing. Okay, as I want to be able to, what I don't want it to do is kind of procedurally generate, and then the feature sort of slowly fades out as I get closer to the surface, and until at some point it's not there anymore. Whereas this hasn't. Okay, so whatever that black material is, it's still there, and as we get close we can see impact craters, small ones now, and that black material is still there. So let's land in the center of this crater, and I just want to go out and have a look. We haven't got the tools to analyze the surface, but the surface coloration is there. It's some sort of black material. Now you can see in the future maybe some gameplay could be associated with find a deposit of something on the surface of this moon. It looks like this, and maybe visual inspection is the only way you've got to figure that out. Okay, so we have our VTOL mode. There we go. Undercarriage down. Let's just have a quick look outside. All looking good. A few minor rocks. Okay, so Houston, we are going down onto the moon. There we go. Hey, no, back. Hey, you're moving forward. Why are my reverse thrusters not working? I didn't want to go that way. Why is the ship... I've got throttle is 0, so why am I... Something... Oh, cruise control. Did I hit cruise control? Oops. That'll be why. Let's fire back across there. Dr. Quest MD has already managed to land. Well done. Oh, my ship feels very sluggish now. I'm thinking that's kind of by design. Okay, which is okay, because maybe it always check your cruise control. Okay, so that's a thing. All right, the cruise control. Okay, so I can still see the black stuff all around. So let me see if I can land. Does this look like a decent landing spot? Doesn't look too bad. Okay, let's bring the ship down here. Nice and gentle. There we go, we're down. Okay, so lots of other people are joining me. Okay, if somebody nabs my pocket space, right, we're down. Okay, so let's see what the surface of this ship is. So I'm going to get the rover, which of course is in the back of the ship. Let's take the moon buggy out for some stuff on the moon, clearly. And it could be, you see, I mean, if I was designing the exploration stuff here, there's a certain amount of stuff you can do in the ship, let's say, but some of it, maybe you need to get up a bit more close and personal in, let's say, the Ursa, and some of it maybe you need to do on foot, because you actually need to take a sample of a rock or something like that, let's say. Okay, so let's lower ourselves down to, where's the control? It's there, isn't it? It's a really small button. There we go. Okay, so temperature is -4. Okay, well that's not outrageously bad. Okay, so there we go. Top shot is here. Hello. All aboard the. I like the way the temperature rises, even though the door's open. That's a bit. It's a bit curious. I'm not sure that's quite right, but I'll let them off that one. Sounds like there are seagulls on the planet. Yes, apologies. You may be able to hear some birds in the background. Dr. Quest MD's brought his own Ursa out as well. I like that. Okay, so here we are on the surface of the moon, which is very cool. The moon of Killing. So this does look like the moon, doesn't it? Okay, so let's go for a drive. Is there some interesting scenery? There's a mountain range over there. Now, given that there isn't an atmosphere here, then it's impossible to. But it's impossible to tell how far away those mountains are. But let's see if we can reach them. Oh, gravity is very low. Okay, so that's another thing to be careful. So is there a G meter that's telling me what the gravity of the moon is? Because we're in a crater at the moment, aren't we? So this is the crater rim here. So let's just park up here. There we go. That's the crater rim. I'm just going to drive slightly beyond the crater rim. Let's park it here for a moment. And then let's pop out and have a quick look around. So in order to do some science, I have to step outside the ship, which does kind of make sense. So let's go out of the door. Okay, so Dr. Quest MD's brought his. Okay, so now we're on the surface of the moon, and it really is. Look at us with our moon buggies and stuff. I like the fact that we can park each cars next to each other and jump in and jump out of each other's moon. It's just so good. The immersion is so brilliant. Okay, so the temperature is -6. So if I look at my Mobiglass here, it's telling me the atmospheric pressure is 0.1 of an atmosphere. We've got a sodium dioxide atmosphere, 90%, sodium oxide at 7%, and a tiny little bit of O2, nothing that we can actually use, but 3%. Okay, so that's interesting to me. That's interesting to me. There isn't a gravity measurement, so a G meter of some kind would be a useful thing to know, because I'd imagine the gravity on this moon is quite low. So yeah, this really does feel that we have stepped out onto a new surface with some sort of scouting expedition that's come out here to go and check out this moon. That's very, very good. So I fancy, you see that peak over there? I fancy seeing if we can climb up that. So let's get as close to it as we can with our buggies, our Ursas, and then maybe let's see if we can climb to the peak. Let's see how well that works. I just want to go back and have a look at the crater, because presumably from the top of this little rise here we can see the crater itself. Look out, there's some floating rocks there. There's a slight glitch. Look at the crater. So that's very authentic looking. You can see a little bit of tiling on the floor of the crater there, which is a little bit of a shame, but it does feel very like a lunar surface with a slight atmosphere. I mean, 0.1 of an atmosphere is actually, it's quite a lot of an atmosphere actually for a small moon, but it does look very authentic, very, you know, like a proper wasteland, which is lovely. And the shadows work. So that's basically what I'm going to try and get to. That just looks interesting. So let's see if we can get over to that peak. So just want to see how capable the terrain and the ship is. So, you know, the test here, I suppose, from exploration perspective in my head is, if I see something interesting on the surface, which I have, I've seen this area of dark material, okay, which is interesting to me as a sort of astrophysics kind of bod. And then once I've landed, I see an element on the surface which is a mountain, let's say, or a peak. You know, how well does the game hang together in terms of allowing me to go and visit said things that I can see from space? So there it is, it's directly ahead of me. How well does it hang together in terms of let's drive there? Okay, so the tiling you can see a little bit. I mean, I'm having to pick my route here, which I like as well. So I don't just want to drive over the rocks, because I think that is true in his dark materials. Very good. You can, the tiling is a little bit of a shame, isn't it? You can see that happening quite a bit. So that's definitely something they're going to have to work on. You can see that the tiling is receding there into the distance quite a bit. So that is definitely a criticism. But it still looks like a very authentic. So for those rocks in particular look immensely good. They look like, I mean, again, I'm no geologist, but you can see some layers, and they look like compacted asteroidal kind of material, which is quite good. So let's see if we can get to this peak. I've got no idea. Oh, I've come to a dead end there. Let's drive around these rocks. There we go. We are actually closing on that peak reasonably quickly. One thing it is, I mean, they noticed this on Apollo when they were driving around the moon, that because there's no atmosphere on the moon, or very, very little atmosphere, it totally murders your ability to judge distance, because of course on Earth you're used to things being further away being slightly bluish in colour as you're seeing them through a lot of atmosphere, whereas when there isn't much atmosphere, nothing gets faded away by distance, so it's really hard. Now we are closing on that mound quite well. Let's hope we don't get anybody attacking us on the stream, so we have to run back and defend our ships, because I'm just hoping we can climb. Now there's actually a bit of a ravine here. Be a little bit careful. That's quite nice in the sense that I don't know if I want to drive my Ursa down there. I'm going to back up and go that way over there. That looks a little bit easier. So it's the game's forcing me to make, or at least encouraging me to make decisions based on the terrain, which is good. And the terrain's getting a little bit more rocky now, undulating stuff. It's a tough little buggy, yeah. So that's good as well. I was just worried about getting it stuck. So look, that's actually almost. I mean, it's not. There's one thing I suppose in the terrain technology that Star Citizen is using. That's almost an overhang there, isn't it? I don't think it is. I think it's just a really steep-sided cliff, and there's a lot of contrast because of the angle of the sun. Oh, there goes Dr. Quest with his car. Are there any caves or overhangs in this technology? Because that's a big deal, having that sort of thing. Dr. Quest MD is going up the top there. They are working on overhangs, so that's going to be. I mean, obviously, I've seen the caves that are sort of is handcrafted unfair. I'm not sure. There's some slightly odd graphical effects happening over there as it's trying to work out where the shadows are. I think I'm almost at the base of this mountain, so the fact that we've been able to get here is really quite good. Okay, I think I'm going to park the ship. Let's turn the L for lights. There we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm going to park it here because I think that's as far as I want to drive the car. Let's have a look outside. There aren't any overhangs. There are caves and cliffs. Okay, so I've left the ship a bit of a dodgy tilt, I think, judging by the way everything's hanging around there. Let's go and have a look. Where are we? Okay, so I think I've left it as a sort of slightly, I've parked the ship slightly up a hill, haven't I? Okay, so can I? Okay, so oh, look at that! Whoops! Dr. Quest MD has literally just fallen off. That looked extremely dangerous. Ow! Okay, that was definitely the hazards of space travel. Right, how do I get back off the floor? I think Dr. Quest MD has literally landed his car on top of my head.
Doesn't seem a very sensible thing to do.
Thank you very much, my young son. Yes, we're doing a bit of moon climbing. It's all gone
good luck.
Slightly wrong. My bad, says Dr. Quest MD. Right, let's try and... Can I... Now, somebody... I've got to get out from underneath my Ursa. Can somebody pull me out? Does somebody need a doctor? I need a hand. Space T has arrived. That's what I need. How do I get up? Is it Y? Do I have to... Oh, healing needed. So have I been hurt? Okay, so I'm actually... What? I'm actually injured. You are hurt but no injuries. So, okay. Oh, it looks like my... It looks like my ankle's twisted and it's stuck. You have to roll on your stomach. Okay, so how do I roll over? I think I'm okay. It's not telling me. Q or E. Hang on, let me just get back. Right. Okay, so Q or E. So roll over. Right. Okay, try and crawl out. I'm okay. Have you had an accident at work? Right. So there we go. Okay, I'm back up. Right. So don't drop a spaceship on my head, Dr. Quest MD. Okay. Oh, and the weather. We've now got a bit of weather. Look, the weather's deteriorating, which is adding another element to it. So look at the beautiful moon. That's not Hurston. Orison, isn't it, up there? Orison, is that right? Okay, so let's see if we can climb this. It's Crusader. Sorry, Crusader. Yeah. Can we climb this hill? Okay, so we're now climbing up. Okay, so there's this. I mean, this is just like a space novel, isn't it? We are climbing up some hill in a treacherous environment. So, okay, I am climbing. It seems to be quite tough going to get up here. Okay, so I guess I'm struggling to grip here. Is there a way to jump? Sort of forward? It seems to be too steep. Climbing 80-degree hill, so it can't actually do it. This is about where the Earth lost traction. Okay, so it is really steep. So maybe we can't climb it. So no jetpack. That's what we need, is a jetpack. Yeah, looks like there's an eclipse about to happen there. Okay, so I don't think I can get any higher. These guys are struggling as well. Try going up sideways. Okay. No, it's making me slip. So it feels like my feet are slipping, which I suppose is... Yeah, so she's struggling to get any kind of grip going up the hill. So we can't actually get up there. So is there? I suppose she's trying, which is quite good. Is there technology in the game to go mountain climbing? I suppose is the question. Is that something that's doable? Someone's providing us a bit of illumination. Now we've come like almost 2 kilometers away from the ship, but it's not actually possible unless there's another route up. Let's just try over here, because it's quite a steep peak, isn't it? So is there another way around the moon? Can we navigate it by? It's not planned yet. Okay, so this is actually that is quite a peak. So that's the closest I think I can get. I'm not quite going to make it, am I? Ooh, ooh, ooh. No, not quite going to make it. That was close. Can I get onto that peak there? That would be... I tried this. Okay. It's not going to work. Okay, so we'll satisfy ourselves with this particular peak here, I think. Because that gives us at least the idea of what you can do. So that's interesting to me, actually. Okay, so parts of the train are inaccessible, but it's worthwhile. So you could theoretically get stuck in the crater as well. But I like the fact that we can get here. I like the fact there's a little bit of atmospherics as well. It does just, I mean, there's that one more hill kind of feel to this part of the game, in the sense that you can. So that one, you know, there's a ship over there. So is that? Let's wander over there, along the ridge here. Now there's a big boulder in the way, so that looks like it's. Look at that! I can actually see. It does look very realistic, doesn't it? As a rock, you know, as rocks go. So let's just. Can I sneak round the side of the rock? Yes, I can. There we go. So there's a sense of beating the environment here, which is nice. But you've got to be a bit careful because somebody might drop something on you. I do feel. I mean, this ridge here has given me a sense of doing some actual slightly dangerous exploration. You know, it'd be nice if we could climb up there. But I'm wondering if, look, you see, you're looking at that terrain over there. Could we walk along to, you know, that bit over there maybe, and find our way up there and find a slightly less steep slope so we can get up to the peak where that spaceship. I don't know whose spaceship that is. Is that? Let's just go. Let's see if we can just go direct up. I think this is going to be too steep. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. No, it looks like I'm going to make it. Yes! There we go. Okay, so there's a few magnetic floating rocks. Hello! We made it to the top of this mountain. That's quite cool. Okay, so then we can look back at the mountain we weren't able to climb, which is quite interesting. So actually looking at that, look, that mountain over there, it looks like there's possibly a slightly easier climb from the other side, which we could, you know, is the sort of thing that you would do if you were mountaineering. Like, you do want to get to the top of that peak. Could you get it up there by tying an alternate? I mean, this does feel like really rather good explanation. So that, you know, we look back at where our ships are parked. We can see the ships in the distance over there, and there's a beautiful mountain over there as well. Look at that one. That looks really nice. We can see the black material still that we saw from orbit, which is nice as well. So that does look really good. I really do like the environment here. What I want to be able to do with the sort of sciencey hat is I want to be able to. Can I pick a rock up, for example? Any of these rocks are interactable? Doesn't look like they are. No. So yeah, I'd like to interact with the environment a little bit. I'd like to do a scan here for stuff. To find out. You know, can you find out a little bit of geology? But it does look a very compelling environment, doesn't it? I love that mountain right in the distance over there. We've got the sun in the sky, of course. Have we got? Look at that. I mean, that just looks like something out of 2001, doesn't it? Standing on the surface of this moon with Crusader in the sky like that. I mean, that's just. What we need is that, you know, that music from 2001 where the that obelisk, what's it called? The big black slab. What's it called? The monolith. There we go. The monolith. That we just if the monolith turned up at this point, I wouldn't be surprised. It almost needs that, you know, that kind of music that they have in 2001. That's a very, very, very bad rendition of the music from 2001, obviously. But look at that. Look how good that looks. That's just insanely good, isn't it? just looks beautiful. So, right. So the other thing I want to do while I was here, let's go back to the Earth. I want to have a look at that black material and see how well that stands up as a transition between the things. Because I can sort of see it over there in the horizon. You see that? There's the black material we spotted from orbit. I want to see how well that stands up to. So let's just be careful going down here. Oh, she is actually being careful. I like that. She's taking her time, which is quite good. She's obviously wary. So let's make her run. No, don't do that. It does feel like a very realistic surface. Now, I mean, here's another question for you guys who know star system well. So, obviously, a large degree of the surfaces of these planets is handcrafted. So I'm talking about the assets they use for the little mining bases and various other bits and pieces like that. But surely the entire, even at 1/6 scale, surface of the planet can't be handcrafted. So is all this stuff here? Is it handcrafted, or is it? Oh, we've got a red contact, have we? We got trouble brewing. Or is it proc gen? Because it's then judging how good the proc gen is by the. We've now got 2 reds, so we may be in trouble. So it could be back to the Ursa. Let's get back to that at the very least. So they do use procedural generation, which is good. Okay, because I think procedural generation, one of the lessons we've kind of learned over the years, is that it needs to go hand in hand with curated content, because we don't seem to have the skill. Okay, so we do have a red contact which is staying static at the moment. Okay, so let's head back carefully down the mountainside. Oh, now I've got myself jammed on the rock. There we go, we're good. The Ursa's a tough machine. So, okay, so is red? Talk me through the red thing here, because obviously red is bad, danger. But is red actually specifically hostile? I can hear some shooting now, I think. Is red specifically hostile, or is it just unknown? Oh, the red content is your lost hover quad. Okay, so is it basically outside of my group, or is it genuinely a hostile contact? I'm going to follow this valley down for a moment. Okay, red just means someone has a crime stat. Doesn't necessarily mean they're hostile. Okay, so you basically have to proceed with caution, is what you're saying. Okay. Not necessarily hostile. They could have done a naughty mission or done something by accident and got a crime stat. So it's basically an indication of a crime stat on the contact. Okay, so that's worth knowing. So it doesn't necessarily imply they're about to obliterate you. Right. So there's that dark material. His dark material. Let's go and check that out. So there are ways to accidentally trigger a crime stat. Okay, which kind of does make sense. Okay, so here's that dark material up ahead. Now, how does that stand up to investigation at close range? Oh, I just clonked a rock. Ow. Okay, so I like the fact that the environment here is a little bit of a challenge to navigate. I like this Ursa as well. It's a nice sized moon buggy. It feels like it's spacious enough to get the job done, and it's quite pleasant fun to drive. Okay, so the dark material is sort of. I'm going to drive to that white area there. It's like a flat. It is. Look, it's a different material. Okay, so there's some sort of rough and smooth stuff going on here. Let's just park up over here. So it's quite subtle down on the surface, but let's just have a look here. So it's white and then the dark. Okay, so let's park there. Who's dark materials? That's right. Someone pointed out if it's an NPC that's red, it's definitely hostile. Okay, so that's worth understanding. Ooh. So as exploration gameplay goes, it's currently kind of sightseeing, isn't it? But it's very compelling. Okay, so this is the white material, full of little tiny rocks. And then it goes to this dark material up here, which we did see from orbit, which is genuinely darker. Look at these. I like these twisted lines, because this here again implies. Again, I'm no geologist, okay, but look, you can see twisted. This material here looks melted, almost like this is a lava flow, or like a cryo lava flow, doesn't it? It does. So it does look like there's some volcanic activity on this moon. You should be able to trace this back. If you were, it does look like a lava flow, doesn't it? It genuinely does. Or someone's been doing donuts, yeah. And then it transitions here to this rock here, which doesn't look like a lava flow. This looks like much older rock to me. It's almost flint-like, isn't it? Or maybe sort of. It's very different, and that to me is hugely encouraging. That there's that sort of thought gone into the terrain of the planets and the moons, because look, I can see an absolute, and this bit here almost looks like there's some chemicals embedded in the rock there. That you want to go, well, what's that? And I know it's kind of just eye candy at the moment, but and then over there, look, there's some that almost looks like a kind of quartzy sort of thing going on there, and then another material over here which kind of covers. So this, with my kind of geologist hat on, there's stuff happening here, just in this tiny little patch of moon that's telling a story about this moon as to what's actually going on here. So the fact that it's basically saying yes, there is volcanic stuff on this moon is kind of borne out by the terrain that we're sort of seeing here, which is really good. I like that. That's really rather neat. And then look over there. There's the mountain that we were walking up, Twin Peaks, and there's another really cool looking mountain over there, which I'd like as well. It's just good. It's immersive. This is Kellen. Yes, it is. It's Melkor the Wise. I like that. One of the the wise men. It's like the wrong time of year to be a wise man, but other than that, good. I've just noticed there's that little spill of red light around the back here from the lights. That's nice as well, from the brake lights, I suppose they are of the thing. That's very good. Stick a flag in it for England. I have found this land, and it will always be called this land. That is still spectacular as well. So somebody mentioned there's a moon with some rings that we could see from the surface. Is that nearby, or is that that might be a target for another day actually? But because what I do fancy doing is getting back in the ship and flying to that other mountain that we can see in the distance. I just want to see how well the terrain holds up to being explored. Oh, that's yellow. Okay, so let's just have a look. Is that this moon here? So have we got a ringed moon? Oh, we have. Okay, in that case, since it's not very far away, let's go there. Back to the ships then. Let's go to Yella and find out what that is like. Let's take our expedition back. This does feel like proper exploration gameplay, in the sense that we've got to go and whoops. Of course it's got a self-righting mechanism. Excellent. I was thinking, oh, that's the moon around Grim Hex. Oh, I do remember that. So yeah, I don't think I've been to the surface on that moon. I've been to Grim Hex, which was very cool. I enjoyed that. But this is a landscape that does feel like it's kind of real. It's holding up to inspection. as a place to explore, and I'm actually having to make some tricky navigational decisions here in order to get back to my ship. I'm going to drive around things, trying to find, and the low gravity is slightly problematic, which again is good. I can't make sharp turns at speed, which is correct, because my moon buggy, my Ursa, has inertia, but it doesn't have enough weight, so it tends to want to go in a straight line. Oops. And the impact on objects is it feels like we're driving in low G, which is a good feeling. So I would guess the gravity here is more than it is on our moon, but certainly not as much as it is on the Earth. So I don't want to take this ridge at high speed, because I'll just go flying. There we go, around the other side. There we go. So there's my ship's over there. Let's get over to Yella, and let's see if we can... Seeing the rings on the planet's surface is another good test, I feel, of the graphics engine. So let's see what it can deliver for us there. That would be quite cool. I like the way I can look out the side of the window as well, to sort of see if I'm getting the angle right. Look at that. That just looks insanely good. That is a very useful control mechanism, actually. Yeah, that I can use the mouse at the same time as the rest of the controls in order to kind of get the ship on board. Does that look about right? It's difficult to... Oh, I can actually sort of... There we go. That looks pretty good. So that's useful stuff as well. It's so well thought through. I mean, I know there are some bugs and stuff, but I mean, it really works well as in terms of a space game that allows you to play with your space toys. That's the best way I can describe it. Whereas, yesterday I was playing, for those of you who watch all of my streams or some of my streams, I was playing No Man's Sky yesterday, and the new update Outlaws there adds in a bunch of things like NPC wingman and stuff like that. Drew Waite says MGL. What am I going to wait for? Drew pressed P. Why do I have to press P? What does P do? I don't know. Okay, never mind. Right, okay. Whatever that was, the urgency has passed. Right. Okay, so let's go to Yella then. Oh, there was a guy in my co-pilot seat, was there? Okay. See any danger? Okay, so, and here we are. Obviously we can look out the windows, which I still think is a very big deal. Of course the planet's rotating as well, isn't it? Or the moon, sorry, the moon is rotating. So we're getting shadows inside the ship, etc, etc. What was I saying? So No Man's Sky, the latest update to that Outlaws has added things like NPC wingmen and stuff, and you can fly around with them, and they follow you around and help you out in space battles and stuff. And I was saying to the guys on that stream yesterday, No Man's Sky now feels like every cool Saturday morning cartoon that you ever watched in the 80s. So I'm thinking things like, for those of you who are old and in the UK and remember these sort of things, and they may be in the US as well, but things like Battle of the Planets, who remembers Battle of the Planets, and Ulysses 31 and things like that. Okay, No Man's Sky is almost now like being in one of those cartoons, and I don't like to use the word cartoon with No Man's Sky because I think it's a bit unfair, but it gives me that sort of vibe of being in a 20-minute kind of adventure, in space, like in Ulysses 31 or Battle of the Planets. It really is like that. Danger Mouse, Banana Man, all those sort of things. It gives me that sort of vibe, and it's a nice feeling. Okay, it's a nice feeling. I'm just having a look at the mountain range. Of course, because the sun is setting, so all the lighting has changed now. So the planet already looks different. That's really nice. There is the mountain that we try to climb over there, and the mountain that I was interested in looking at now has changed its view. It's now in shadow, so it doesn't look the same. It's that one over there. It looks completely different. So that's cool. the lighting has changed because the planet has moved. Danger Mouse, Banana Man, Count Duckula grew up in Blighty, says Real Martin. Chortle and the Wheelies, yes. No one else could do the things he does. Ulysses. But you know what I mean? Okay, so to me, Star Citizen has now got to the point where it's like being in one of those Saturday morning cartoons and the fun that you can have flying around on surfaces, having pew pew and I suppose a sort of lightweight, enjoyable kind of science fiction sort of fantasy experience. I think that's really, really good, and it gives me that. And Star Citizen, by contrast, now this is way more in depth in the sense of complexity and dynamics and realism, which it's a different marketplace. It's a different attempt of things quite to. But what this game is doing is, this to me is like being in, it's got a Star Warsy feel to some of it. It's got a Star Trekky feel to some of it. It's got the sort of BSG vibe from some of the big spaceships. The fact that you launch out of things. The fact that I can have my Ursa ship inside the cargo bay is totally Thunderbirds. Okay, it's all that sort of stuff. And now it's at a point where we can play it. Okay, on our PCs with each other around the world. All the things that we wanted to do in the 80s that we could only watch on TV and were restricted to the imagination of the people writing those stories, we can now do it ourselves. So as these things get more and more sophisticated and there's more and more things that we can interact with and do things with, the potential for multiplayer storytelling by the community is just getting better and better and better. So I'm so excited by what we can already do actually here. Can I get to yellow direct, or do I have to go back to Crusader first? I'm not sure what's happening here. It's just it's just really, really okay. So that's definitely Crusader. So maybe if I jump to one of the OM points, it will just allow us to. And it can be summarised as everything in Star Citizen is physicalised. You are a person in the world. Everything is physical. Ships, spikes, bullets, missiles. If you notice when missiles fire, some ships actually have a load mechanism. So stuff like that. The fact that everything's actually there is very, very good. Okay, so I think that should allow us to get to yellow. Okay, so it looks like. There we are. Set route, that worked. Excellent. Okay, pull up. There it is. Dr. Question D's up there. Okay, we're in orbit around the moon. Okay, so there's yellow. Not very far away. Let's go there. So yeah, it's just you can for people who don't get Star Citizen, I have to question almost if they are a fan of science fiction, because who doesn't want to play a game that tries to be all of those things to us? If we want to be a blue shirt from Star Trek, or we want to be an X-wing pilot from Star Wars, or you want to be a Viper pilot from Battlestar Galactica, or if you want to just be the guy who works down in engineering and keeps things going, all of those things are things that Star Citizen is allowing us to do. Collaborate with each other. Okay, so now so yellow's got a very faint ring system. Now, the trick here is we need to get a good vantage point for the rings. Now, what we don't want to do is we probably don't want to land on the equator, because we won't be able to see the rings. What we kind of do is we probably want something on the dark side. Benson Mining Outpost sounds like it might be good. That's kind of on the Terminator there. Now, I don't know which way, of course, this moon rotates. So I'd be tempted. Can we find an orbital manoeuvring point? Let's have a look. What's that? That's OM5. Let's see if we can get round the back side of the planet a little bit. Because the moon, I would have thought the rings are going to be more I'm just doing my astronomy thing here. More spectacular from the dark side of the planet. than they are from thing, and we kind of want a slightly higher latitude. There, Benson Mining Outpost does look good actually. So it's off centre. We don't want to be on the equator. Another excuse to do my Palpatine ears. You have no, yeah. Thou witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational station. Right, let's go to Benson Mining Outpost. We'll use that as a target. I don't want to particularly land there, but I just want to sort of see what do the rings look like from the planet's surface looking up? Look at that. Okay, so we can. Oh no, Benson Mining Outpost. Yes, this is going to work. Okay, this is going to work. So you don't. If you ever go into space, right, and you want to have some scenic tours of a ringed planet, don't land at the equator. Okay, because you can't see the rings from that angle. Okay, so this is all worked correctly so far. So we should get a nice view of the night sky. All we've got to do is find somewhere cool to land. And look up into space. Okay, so there's some nice mountain ranges here. So okay, so looking at the topography down there, this almost looks like there is some, some erosion has been going on down there, which is quite good. Problem is the loss of attention in gamers. Too much handed them on the plate and hand holding. People love the Lord of the Rings, but how many read the book? I mean, yes, I'm a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings books. And Real Martigan, this means you can also problem solve from a physical point of view. Does a bike fit in a ship? If it does, it does. Can you capture a falling pilot in the atmosphere in your cargo bay? Sure, if you're skilled. Yeah, so all that sort of stuff can happen, can't it? So if we have things that go wrong, we can try to figure our way out of them, which again is a very cool thing. So, okay, so I'm just looking for interesting surface. So there's a nice ridge up here. So let's fly up there. To be fair, you've joined Star Citizen at good timing. It has earned its bad reputation over years with all the expensive ship sales, broken promises, bad communication, etc. Yeah, so I mean, I am conscious that I've Star Citizen has been around for a long time now, and I'm seeing it with obviously wide-eyed, kind of like wow, because I haven't seen a lot of this stuff before. So I'm going to be a bit wide-eyed and naive, obviously, because it's all kind of quite new to me, and I appreciate some of you watching the stream may be a little bit, quite a lot more dyed in the wool, and you've been through tough times and better times and stuff, and I do get that. What I suppose I'm enjoying the most here is I can see a vision here, which is impressing me. And this is ambitious. Make no bones about this. This is a very ambitious. Look at that. There's a lovely mountain range appearing up there. So if we can land in the range of the mountains, is that lakes and frozen water down there? Let's just throttle back. Yeah, look. Is that water? That's very cool. So let's land by the side of a frozen lake. This is a good way to sort of have a poke around. So I'm going to be careful because I don't want to land in the water, clearly. So let's make sure the ship... that is not a good place to land. Let's just nudge that forward a bit. Do not go into the water. No. Okay, so I'm going to park it there. Actually, I'm going to twist the ship sideways so it's going to be easier to get the Ursa out. There we go. Otherwise, it's going to back straight into the sea, isn't it? Which will be bad. Right, we can now land in. Okay, I don't know what the water is, so again, let's sample the atmosphere when we get down. So, I completely get that. You've got to treat things like this with a certain amount of skepticism. I completely get that, and oops, that wasn't a good landing at all. What happened there? Okay, I think I've recovered. Did I hit a? Oh, not on the ground. What's going on here? Down we go. Okay, there's some... The ship is bouncing. There we go. I think that's down. Engines are off. Is the ship stable? I think so. Doesn't look, actually, that's not a great place to land because there's a rocky outcropping right underneath my cargo bay. So I don't think that's I think we'll put the engines back on. Try again. Which is again good. Okay, so you want a game that's going to basically reward a little bit of kind of no. That's not a great place to land. Let's shuffle across to the left a little bit. That looks better. Let's nose it up slightly. Down again. That looks better. Okay. So yeah, I appreciate it's but we have to use the external. I would like some monitors in here that allowed me to view the the externals of the ship. It needs parking sensors. The stuff that we've got on our cars today. I can't get out of my chair. There we go. So it's stuff like that is very, very impressive, and I understand it's been a while to get to this point in time, and I'm seeing it as a game or an environment really that has nearly 10 years of work put into it, and it's still it's still an alpha. It's still not finished. It's not productized in the sense of thing, but it is in its current form a very compelling thing. I've never been, personally. I always find the scripted stuff to be a bit. It's fun. But I like to go off and just tool about on my own. Most of the fun I have in space games is not. I've just realised I haven't opened the cargo bay. That's one of the guys. Oh, well, somebody's done it for me. See, okay, that's brilliant. Well, at least I think they have. Have they? I don't know if there's anybody on board. Yeah, I'm going to have to go open the cargo bay. Let me go and open the cargo bay. That was a bit stupid. Sorry, guys. Wasn't paying attention. That's the problem when you're streaming and you're trying to talk and you kind of forget stuff. Open the cargo bay. There we go. Right. Down it goes. And the fact I can be inside my ship, inside my car, my vehicle, while the ship is lowering us down to the that physicalization is an utter game changer for this kind of game. Because most of the fun I have in space games, I think that's where I was going, is it's doing what I want to do when I want to do it. I don't necessarily I don't mind following some missions. Okay, missions are fun. I can't get out the front. Why can't I get out? Is the front of the ship too low down? Seems to be getting stuck on something. Don't know what we're getting stuck on. Oh look, the cannon is stuck. Can we get out backwards? Yes. There we go. And this thing is just like Big Track. Who remembers Big Track? Retract the turret. How do I retract the turret? Okay, is that another keybind that I don't know? What's the keybind? Oh, that's P, is it? Oh, look at that! Oh, I like the way that goes down the side. That's very cool. Okay, P for Big Track. Yeah. So, how many people had a Big Track? They were very cool. Okay, so where was the? So where's this lake? Is that it over there? I don't want to drive into the lake, but I do want to have a look at it. Oh yeah, look, so there's a lake. Check that out. Okay, so I don't know what kind of moon it is. I haven't checked the atmosphere. Let's go outside. Check the atmosphere. Let's do some science. Because we can. so here we are. Okay, survival estimate 42 minutes, so it's a bit better than some of the places. Okay, so there's a lake, so I'm not going to go in the water because obviously that's slightly dangerous. What kind of atmosphere have we got on this moon? Okay, so the atmospheric pressure here is 0.2. Interesting enough, the air, it's 100% O2. So theoretically, although it's minus 47, it's cold outside, there is some atmosphere. Atmospheric pressure O2 isn't enough to breathe, I wouldn't say. Oh, it's frozen, is it? Okay, minus 47. If it's water, I suppose it would be. Dr. Quest empty. Oh, it is. It's water, isn't it? I wonder if you can land a ship on there. So what happens? What happens? Does it? Oh yeah, look, it's frozen. Oh, look at that, a frozen lake. How cool is that? Do I have a match? Okay, so look, it's even got sort of flickery ice. I mean, is that water ice or is it going to be some other kind of ice? I wonder. And look, yeah, we're all icing up. This is another thing about it. All the seas on Microtech are completely frozen. Yeah, so I've been on Microtech and seen those. I hadn't realised because from the air this looked like a liquid. So is it skiddy in the sense of if I no, there's enough grip. It's not sliding. I can't tell from Dr. Quest MD whether his rover has got lots of grip or not. It does look good driving around there though. Look at that light reflecting on the silver surface. I love a planet with a happy atmosphere. Okay, so the ice seems to be good enough that you can actually park your ship on it, which I wasn't going to trust mine. Wow, and of course what we have here, so here we are standing on the surface of a frozen lake of a material. So I want to know what this is. Is it water? Is it something? And there, up in the sky, are the rings of this moon arcing across the sky, exactly as they should be. It seemed like it was drifting, but I can't tell. This is Dr. Question. I'm on air support, not on bouncy air support. So that is very cool, isn't it? Okay, so I'm gonna go and get my Ursa as well and drive it down there because why not? It's my space mug. Yes, that's right. I love to look at the transition. So there's rock, and there's frozen liquid of some kind. That's nice. There are still some floating rocks there. That's very No Man's Sky. That is. Okay, so here's my Ursa. Let's get aboard and drive down to the lake because we can. Oh, it looks so good from up here as well. Look. Look at the light. That spaceship looked really nice on the surface there. Okay, let's just find a way down here. Look at the light playing across the surface of the lake. I mean, this looks like a... What we need is ships all the way around the edge of the lake, sort of shining their lights. If you could have different coloured light beams as well. Okay, so look at that. It does look absolutely brilliant. Look at it. It's got that nice effect where you've almost got the slightly translucent effect. So does the ship skid? Kind of. It probably should skip a bit more, shouldn't it? I feel like I want oversteer. It feels like the traction control is on, and actually I want the traction control off. Dun, 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 dun. What we need is now what's the theme? We need the Blue Danube playing here. Dun, 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 dun. Oops, I've hit the edge. It's the lighting does look really good. Oh, there's a few rocks embedded here in the middle of the lake. I mean, there we go. Skating on a lake. Yeah, it feels like the traction control on the Ursa is on. I want to switch the traction control off so we can have some proper skiddy fun. But what a cool environment. Oops, I got that wrong. Clunk. I wonder if that's. I mean, that kind of looks like a crater that's been flooded. Again, with my kind of astrophysics hat on, that's a lovely thing to have found. Do you know what I mean? Just to say, look, we found a frozen lake. It's just amazingly good. I really like that. That's really nice. It does sort of skid. The lighting does look good. Again, that's. I wonder how the liquid formed. Yeah, so the atmospheric pressure is 0.2 atmospheres, which is pretty low. So it's minus 47 out here. Is that cold enough to have? So that's the sort of questions that are going on in my head. Is it cold enough for this ice not to boil at such low pressure? And how do you end up with a O2 atmosphere, a pure O2 atmosphere? There's a lot of oxygen in this area of space because obviously the atmosphere of the gas giant over there is oxygen at the breathable level as well. So some weird stuff's going on physics-wise, which is cool. But there we look. We've got my ship parked on the horizon with the planet over there as well. That's just really good. Dig That 32 has a video about how to snowboard in Star Citizen. I thought it was pretty cool, but I have not tried. See, being able to just, if you don't want to go and do sciencey, spacey stuff or pew pew or anything, normal that you would do in the space, I mean, there's the classic things in space games, isn't there? There's fighting spacecraft, there's trading, there's piracy, there's bounty hunting. It's like yada yada. We've been there, we've done that for the last 30, 40 years, right? An awful lot of the fun in these games is the fun you make yourself. So if you discover a cool location like this, we can now come up with things. What do we want to do with this lake that we found? The perfect thing to be able to do, of course, at some point is what No Man's Sky does. And let's build a small base here, a chateau, Drew's Lakeside Chateau. And then we can all... Is that a laser beam? Somebody... What's that? Sorry, there's a squirrel moment here. Oh look, it's Dr. Quest MD he's got a laser sight, which I can sort of so can do some range finding or something. That's quite cool. Space games really have had a renaissance, and these two, I mean, Star Citizen and No Man's Sky. I so wish I'd got involved with them a little bit earlier in my kind of space game career, because I focused exclusively for a long time on Elite Dangerous because I had a lot of history with it from years ago, the original game and so on and so forth. But these two really are just knocking it out of the park in terms of fun and engagement and stuff to do, and the sheer vision that's on display. They really know what they're trying to achieve, and they're going for it, and it's fantastic to see. Really is fantastic to see, because here is an environment in which I, as a science fiction writer, think, this is exactly what I imagine when I'm writing books. This is exactly what I'm imagining when I'm seeing movies, and the fact that we can now make our own content in these environments is just mind-blowingly good. If you told me we could do this at home, when I was a kid, I would have just been completely flabbergasted. I mean, look, we're in a buggy, climbing over the rim of an icy lake with a gas giant in the sky, rings visible outside of the window of my space buggy, and there's my spaceship, which appears to have fallen over on its front. Just wow! I mean, it's just blowing me away with the amazingness of it. That just looks incredible. That view there. There's my spaceship. There's a gas giant. There's the rings. This is the surface of the icy moon, and we've just been skating an icy lake. I mean, it's brilliant. I've got no other words. I'm a writer, and I'm supposed to have words. But it's just brilliant. It literally is. And all power to the devs behind Star Citizen and No Man's Sky here, because this is just such fun. Such a cool place to just hang out with people and do stuff and invent things and try things out, and vicariously live in a spaceship. That's what we've always wanted to do, isn't it? Ever since we saw Star Wars the first time, or saw Battlestar Galactica the first time, or Space 1999, or even Thunderbirds, things like that. We wanted, or Flash Gordon, or any of those sort of things, right? We just wanted to be that guy with a spaceship, or the girl with a spaceship, and here we are. This is insanely good. So yeah, wow. That was a very cool experience. Right, so what I'm going to do, my friends, is I'm going to tidy up here. Actually, let's close that door. That door is closed. Let me pop out here. Let's tidy up the ship. Close that door. Let us close the cargo bay up. See, this is also clever stuff. Look at this. Hopefully I've got that right and we don't explode. 3.16 was the first usable version with much less crashes than before. So, I mean, I may have been very lucky with my timing, which I acknowledge. Oh, can't I jump in there? There's still the old glitch here, as you can see. Can't get into... Can't get into the, for some reason, maybe because the hatch is down. Isn't there quite room enough for me to get off the... Oh, that says open door. So it's... I've got the feeling the door doesn't want to close properly. Have I parked the ship too close to the hatch? Oh no, that's worked. Okay, so maybe if I just need to step out the side here, let's try it that way. Maybe I've parked it a bit too close to the wall or something. Okay, so there's always a few little usability issues, but there we go. Because it's quite a big, chunky ship, isn't it? There we go. That seems to have fixed it. You just got to close the door. I appreciate I'm coming quite late to the Star Citizen party, and there's been a lot of pain for a lot of you guys along the way, but for those of you who are still here and still hanging on to the Star Citizen vision, I mean, what a vision! I mean, and wow, I do appreciate there's a lot of patience involved in that. There's been false starts and there's been broken promises, and the ship sails, and I get all that, but these games, I mean, No Man's Sky is a little bit later on than the other two. So the game that I'm not allowed to name anymore, and Star System started about the same time. There's similar vintage, and they've all these games have had their ups and downs over the years. But Star Citizen and No Man's Sky seem to have stuck with their vision. That's the thing that really appeals to me. Is I think they've got a clear idea of what they're trying to achieve. And they're not being deflected from it. And that, is a good thing. There's potential, and there's vision, and there's integrity, and there's a direction. It's going somewhere. And I like where it's going because it's trying to make the best possible space sim ever. Which is good. Right, I'm going to get up into space, and that has to be the end, I'm afraid, my friends. Thank you so much for your company again today. It has been an absolute delight experiencing this game with you, because and doing today what a kind of bit of exploration in okay, what can we find? I mean, finding things like that we found today was just superbly good fun, and seeing what the game can kind of do for us is very, very cool. N and K. Okay. Oh no, I didn't need the vertical thrusters. There we go. Right. Leaving this spooky moon behind us with its thin atmosphere and stuff. So it's fabulous. Really, really love this. It's just really, really good. It's a lovely way to spend your time, just tooling about the universe, looking at stuff and trying out how things work. It's some people dismiss things like this. It's just a tech demo. Well, it's what we define as is as fun is different for you and different for me and different for every other players. The fact that I can just go where I fancy and find things and explore things and claw up things and get in my my space cars and do stuff is great. Do I want more missions? Do I want more things to interact with? Obviously yes, but you can see now that the underpinnings are there, that you can build on top of those foundations, which is obviously where it's going to be. So there we go, we're sitting in the rings. Right, I am going to see if I can log out here. Okay, engines are off. And I will see you anon, my friends. Apologies for hitting you with a rover. That's quite alright, Dr. Quest MD. Parking a car on my head. It's a funny thing, it was one of those slow motion crashes, wasn't it? I saw it coming thinking, I really need to get out of the way. I can see this going badly wrong. And because of the slope of the hill, I couldn't get out of the way. So it's like a slow motion car crash, which was quite funny. Right, I'm off to bed, as you can see. So I'm going to have a lie down. Because I can. Ship interiors, whoever thought that'd be fun. Log out, there we go, fantastic. So I will see you again, my friends. Take care, have a fantastic weekend, enjoy the Easter break, and I will see you on I probably won't be here on Monday, for those of you who follow the Monday stream, because it's a bank holiday again, but I'll be back obviously for my streams next week. So have a good weekend, look after yourselves, have a fantastic time, be good, and I will see you out in the black once more, out in the verse. Thank you very much to everybody who took part today. Thank you for your company, and thank you for the exploration. It was amazing. It was just brilliant. Take care, my friends, be good, see you soon, stay safe in the verse. Bye bye now.